first podcast of the new year. Gareth is in the dark side tonight, unfortunately. Web camera troubles, but you're there, aren't you?
Well, I certainly am, and looking forward to tonight's show. Just like we got. Listen, this guy needs no introduction the world over in regards to Q Sports. I'm just looking forward to having a chat with him. I think I could name him, but as soon as you put his picture up there, let the imagination wander. So let's go.
Yeah, I like the way you said that. Pictures. Yours is in the dark side, but yeah, I mean it's going to be great. Just before we get the superstar in for tonight, I mean, what you've been in the you've been in dark for a while, haven't you? I mean, not played any tournaments or anything yet, but you got next week. I think you're up Scotland, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I've got the McGoldricks tour starting next week, and then the Euro tour in February. But yeah, I've just been taking it easy, really, just living life, really. Enjoying my practice when I can play, but hey ho.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, good to hear that. But without further ado, let's
get him on.
Let's get tonight's star guest in. Here we go. Ralf Souquet, the Kaiser. Thanks for everyone. Coming on our first podcast of 2025. It's been a while since we've done one, actually. We've been busy. Gareth's hurt his foot. I think he's all right now, though. I mean, I've been busy doing lots of other things. Everybody's been busy, but yeah, really, really good for you to join on, Ralf. So tell us what you've been up to over the last year or so. I mean, I said a minute before we started, I said you have been seeing a lot more positive results. I think you've been going a lot deeper in some of these tournaments. So yeah, if you just let us know a bit about what you've been up to, and then.
Yeah, before you go there, Ralf, I'd just like to say thank you so much for being on our podcast, kicking off the 2025. Couldn't ask for anyone better than yourself. I know I've been badgering you for the last few months when I've seen you, but you're a busy man, and I was just so lucky that you were able to have some free time. So go ahead and fire away, and Matt's asked the question, buddy. Good to see you.
Well, thanks for having me on the show, first of all. Yeah, I know you've been on my neck for, I would say, maybe a couple of years already, not only for a few months.
Yeah.
But actually, I have a little spare time at the moment because I have a little break from the tournament scene because I'm, still working, trying to get my Kaiser Tips project out. I mean, it is out already. I mean, the tips been selling okay, but obviously I'm still testing and trying to even make them better, and that's very time consuming. And
yeah, it's good. I mean, we can have a little talk about that in a minute, actually, Ralf, because I'm into the tips and things. But yeah, it'd be good to have a little chat about that in a minute.
So that's basically one reason why I'm, not playing actually at the current Derby City Classics, which started yesterday in Louisville or in Elizabeth. Yeah. It's moved there like I believe 10 years ago already, or even longer. But anyways, so that's something that I'm working on right now. It's, as I said, it's very time consuming. Also, swap cues. I mean, that's already like a year and a half ago that I started playing with Arthur Q, which you can see a couple of them right behind me.
Yeah, nice.
And actually, the one on...
Where are they based out of?
Pardon me?
Where are Arthur Q's based out of?
They are from Frankenthal, Germany. So it's about 4 hours away from where I live. And so me and Marcus Deans, who is the owner of Arthur Q's, we know each other for, 35 years now. And, over the, last 2 decades, we, kept talking about maybe working together at some point, but it never worked out for whatever reason. It was always something that did not make it happen. But eventually, I got the chance in September 23 when my Predator contract ended. And I, basically grabbed the bull by the horns and said, I'm going to try something new now. And the chance came along, and I took it. And of course, that is a big switch. I was playing Predator shafts, and it's in the very last part of the contract, also with the whole queue from Predator for roughly 17 years, and now going back to a normal shaft again it was a big swing. But I have to say, also the Arthur shafts are low deflection, so it's they still play different than other low deflection shafts, but I really like it. But obviously, it took time, and it still takes time to get adjusted because, as I said, if you play with something for 17 years almost, then it's a big swing going back to a new cue and new shafts for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But talking about it,
Ralf,
sorry guys, I have to mention it. I started a raffle that Gareth is probably also aware of. At least we talked about it. And the top queue that you see behind me on my wall screen there is the one that is in the raffle. And we are selling 200 tickets at €100 or $100. Doesn't really matter because right now, the exchange rate is about the same anyways. And as soon as these 200 tickets are sold, that beautiful queue will be raffled off at a big tournament, or at least where people can see it. I'm not going to do it, behind doors. And 10% from all the tickets that we sold go to a good cause. I've actually donated already to 2 different institutions. One of them was, to help Mika Immonen also with his breast cancer, not breast cancer, obviously, with his cancer problem. And so I helped him already a little bit. And but I also donated some money for families in Bavaria. That's the part in Germany where I live in, and the radio channel Antenne Bayern. They always collect money throughout the whole year, but especially before Christmas, they have their special donation week, and they collect sometimes 3, 4, 5 million during that week. Wow. And that money goes to families that really need help. That whatever a family member got sick, needed surgery or whatever, or maybe the family got a loss in the family or whatever. Certainly help for families that need help and can get their lives straightened out anymore.
Well, Ralf, that's really honourable and lovely to hear that what you just said there. And I know that when the world of Q Sports was shocked with Mika Immonen in regards to his diagnosis of what we just spoke about, which I'm sure a lot of the viewers would know about. But that's a great thing that you've done there in order to help Mika as well, Ralf, because that's one good thing about you guys. And I say you guys when I mean you top players, you household names in the Q Sport game. You do stick together, you gel together. So total respect for that, Ralf, and hats off to you, literally.
Yeah, that's how it should be. I mean, to be fair, we are one big family, even though we are competitors at the table and we probably hate each other while we play each other. But afterwards, it should be good again, and because we are still human beings. We still living the same lives more or less, and. So I think it's normal that we try to help each other as good as possible.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant.
Yeah, sure. Well, sorry, mate.
No, I was just going to mention there about the tips, because it is interesting. I mean, go back like, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I mean, there wasn't that many tips really. There was maybe a handful of different tips that you could buy, but now there's a lot of different tips. Everybody seems to be making tips. And it's quite interesting, but I just want to know how much of an involvement in the whole process that you sort of had with that, Ralf. I mean, is it like you thought, well, we'll try this leather, or we'll try that, or we'll try a different technique, or I want to design a tip that's a soft, medium, hard, or whatever. I mean, how much involvement did you have in that process?
I had a lot.
And how did it all come about, Ralf? How did the idea of you getting involved with it, how did it all come about as well?
Well, obviously, I had to approach a company that, were able to produce the tips, obviously. And, I told them what I want, what I'm, looking to achieve. And then after, I don't know how many weeks and months, I finally got some test tips.
Yeah.
Like 9 or 10 different hardness levels, so to speak. And and I tried them for weeks and weeks and had 9, 10 different shafts, each single tip on a different shaft, and just tried and then see how I like them. And after testing them for several months, I decided, okay, I wanted to only come out with 3 different hardness levels, but I liked 4 out of the 9 so much that I decided, okay, well, then I guess I have to pick 4 different hardness levels, even though 2 of them are quite close when it comes to the hardness, but they still play different and sound different.
Yeah.
And my difference to, I'm not saying all the tips, but a lot of the tips is that they come with 2 different type of layers. I mean, first of all, it's a layer tip.
Yeah.
Right now, they all have 8 layers. I'm still thinking to maybe add a 9th layer to it, but that the final decision has not been made yet.
Yeah.
They also look different color-wise. So I have like 2 kind of brownish beige looking layers that are on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then 6 black layers on the top.
Is it all the same leather in terms of where it came from, or is it different composites?
It's all pigskin. That's what I can.
Pigskin, yeah.
What I can say. I'm not really. Don't want to go into details too much because I don't want to give away the
secret ingredients here. Ralf, it's funny. I put a new tip on.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I put a new tip on myself the other day, and it come with 8 layers, but it's usually down to about 3 by the time I'm happy with it to use as a tip.
Well, that might be the problem, because my tips are designed as where when you get down to the last 3, 4, it's actually about time to change again.
Oh, well,
I call it the changing indicator.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you don't have to change the tip, but that's my recommendation.
No, I play with a really, really low tip. I do, I mean, I think Shane Van Bonen does as well. Actually, his tip's usually quite low from what I've seen. But
I know a lot of players play very low tips. I'm actually a fan of playing a really, really high fat tip, so to speak.
Yeah.
But that's everyone's personal preference. There's no right or wrong.
So
I feel I have a better feeling with a higher tip. As where it gets too thin, I feel like it's just rock hard. And I mean, you may feel the cue a little more with it, but to me, I rather prefer a softer tip where I can, still spin the ball easier, not better, but easier, or have a better control from my personal point of view. But hey,
where's the best place for people who are going to be watching this? Where's the best place for them to be having a look at these tips to get a bit more information?
Well, my website is not on yet, but I mean, there's basically the starting page. It's ralf-souquet.com, and there you can at least take a look, take a look at some pictures, and from there is a link to the web shop of one of my sponsors, Billarddienst Arthur Q's, where you can also buy the tips.
Yeah, well, we'll put that in the links anyway after we finish the chat on the video for people to check in.
Ralf, is there anyone Is there anyone of that using these tips, your tips at the moment, or is it still sort of in the early stages of still grinding?
Well, obviously, I'm using them. I've given a lot of tips away to some of the pro players. Not sure who is actually playing. I know Christian Reimering got some. I think he's playing him, but he's not really.
Okay.
I mean, he's became more of a coach. He's no longer on the tournament scene, obviously.
Mm.
And the rest, I'm not sure actually if they've tried it or not. They are around.
Well, yeah. Well, you were gracious enough in Romania to when the raffle was going on.
Correct.
For the young, there was a raffle going on for a young girl, just so the audience knows, and it was Robert Bragg of the Billiard Network was raffling a cue, and then Ralf was gracious enough to approach us and say, "Look, would you raffle these and put them towards the charity cause of the young girl?" So again, Ralf, the people step forward and they, there's another thing that you've done. Not blowing smoke at your way, but it was another kind gesture that you done. And but yeah, people were enjoying the idea of what you were doing. So again, another hats off there. I'd like to say a little
thank you,
high five.
Yeah.
So Ralf, what you got lined up at the minute then? Like I say, I know you said you've been quiet now. When's your next? When does your season really start now? What's the kickoff for you?
The main event or the next, actually the next event will be the Las Vegas Open in Las Vegas, obviously the 10-ball event that Predator is running together with CSI. That's followed up with the mixed doubles, where I partner up with Bojana Sarac from Serbia. Yeah. Actually, she got married now, so I think she carries a different family name now. But she basically won her first WPBA event. I believe that's the women's organization in the US. I'm not sure if I did.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah,
women's professional billiard.
It's quite scary, Ralf.
Yeah, there are so many.
It's quite scary when you see. Sorry, go on, Ralf.
No, go ahead.
I said it's quite scary when you see like these girls in the draw and you think, hang on, I want to stay. I hope I don't get her. Do you know what I mean? Because some of these young girls are brilliant, aren't they, Ralf?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They can. Not only do they hold their own, they can play the game properly, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they really, they worked on their games quite well over the last years, and they can certainly do some damage nowadays, which probably 10 years ago was not so much the case. Maybe with a few exceptions here and there, but nowadays you better watch out, and don't.
Yeah, it's nice to see, though, isn't it? It's nice to see. And
yeah, I think if I go into a tournament and if I draw, and I think I might just have to just get silently disqualified at the beginning for being late.
Well, I know some of the guys, they actually have a hard time playing against a woman for whatever reason. Maybe they feel like they have to win, and so they put so much pressure on themselves that they really struggle. And I never felt like that. I'll try to play the same game and don't really, or it shouldn't matter who your opponent is, even though there are some opponents that probably could be a little more intimidating to you than others. But I always try to see it that I play against myself and the equipment and the table, more or less, because it's not.
Do you know, I've always wondered with you, Ralf. Honestly, I've known you now for the best part of 20 years plus, somewhere in that region. I remember that. I don't know if I first met you out in a place in Nashville, Joe Billiards. That was in about 2002, 2003. You've been all over the place.
Yeah.
You don't remember the venue itself. But how do you do it, Ralf? Not in regards to how do you do it that you're just on the scene, but I never see. Okay, I'm not saying never, but Ralf, I as good as never see you practicing. Are you just a figment of the table? How do you do it? Is it just natural talent?
I don't know.
You must be, because you're just never there. If the tables are out to be played on, very seldom that your face is on there practicing. What's the secret behind that, Ralf, if there is one?
Well, first of all, there's no secret, but I do practice. Maybe you just never see me practicing.
Well, I'm always hanging about.
No, I mean, it's not like, let's put it that way. If I play an event, let's say in Las Vegas at the convention center at the Rio, I would not necessarily go to Griff's to the pool room and practice there, because I think the equipment and the surroundings are just different. I might do it for a little bit, but not like others. They maybe hang out for 6-7 hours and play there, and then try to play at the event where you usually also face different equipment. I mean, if it's the same tables, then okay, maybe. But to me, it doesn't make sense if I have to play an event like on a Predator table at the Las Vegas Open and go to Griff's and play or practice on a diamond table.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously better to practice a little bit than don't practice at all. But I don't want to mess my game and play on a different table. And of course, or most likely, the cloth, which is usually way more worn out in a pool hall than it is at a tournament venue where normally the cloth is brand new at the beginning of the event.
Yeah.
Sure. So that leads it for me. That leads into another area. Like I say, I'm talking to you about your practice.
Mhm.
How did it? Let's reminisce here, Ralf. How did it all start? How did it all start for you all them years ago? You just give us a brief synopsis of what's got you from where you started to where you are now. And along the way, tell us what you've won, because I don't think me saying anything would do any justice, because I know that you're into the dozens in regard to the Euro Tour, I believe. But indulge us, Ralf.
Well, I try to get the most important titles together. I mean, obviously I won quite a lot, and I'm getting to an age where I keep forgetting things. But well, I mean, obviously I started playing at a very young age. I was about 6 years old. That was in late '74. You could say '75 because it was like really late in the year of '74, December, right after my 6th birthday. I started playing at my parents' pub. They used to have a pub with a small, I can't remember if it was a 7 foot, it might have been a 7.5 or 8 foot table. Not 100% sure anymore. My dad was playing, and so I was basically fascinated by the balls, by all the different colors, and I just got hooked up there and never left from there. I started playing at the beginning. Well, it wasn't really playing. I was first of all I needed like a little case to stay on or to stand on. Otherwise, I was not tall enough to actually overlook the table. And as most players at that age, you start with like a side arm stroke because you're just not tall enough to do a proper stroke. But the older I got, obviously, the better I developed the stroke, and the arm got more and more straight. It was never like super straight. Like I'm not having like a perfect stroke where you can say this is like the way it's supposed to be, but I don't think that there are many or not a lot players that have the perfect stance. Over years, every player develops his own way of approaching the table and approaching the shots and developing a certain stroke that works for them. And as long as it works, try not to change that. Obviously, when you're missing over and over, then it would be time to work on your stroke or on your stance or whatever. But don't try to fix something that is not broken.
That's the saying.
Yeah, after practicing, let's say between 5 and 8 hours for about roughly 8 years, I was more or less dialed in and started playing the first individual competitions. I mean, the first 3 or 4 years, I only played in teams, because in Germany we are very structured when it comes to playing in teams. So you usually start playing in a team. We have, let's see, I believe 9 or 10 different levels of competitions, starting like in the very lowest, like more or less beginners, and then the next level is a little more advanced, and so on until you reach the top notch like Premier League in the UK, or in Germany we call it the Bundesliga. And after playing in the leagues, as back then one of the youngest or the youngest players ever in the league, that was back in '77. Like 2 or 3 years later, I started playing my first individual events. Obviously, back then there were not so many pupils or juniors, so I had to play with the mature guys, with the big guys. Obviously, some of them, didn't really, or took me for granted and thought, that little guy, let him hit a ball or two. But by the time they, looked around, the game was over and I was on the good side, And so and I kept playing because it was fun. I really enjoyed it, and and then I won my first German championship title back in '83. I was 14 years old, obviously in the pupils division back then, and that's also when I started to play in my first season of the German Bundesliga, which at that point was the highest league and still is the highest league in Germany. Back in the days, we only played straight pool. There was no other game involved in the Bundesliga. Over the years, that changed, and now all the disciplines, or all the 4 major disciplines, are involved: 8 ball, 9 ball, 10 ball, and straight ball. But back then, it was only straight ball, and basically you had to put your order in the team by the average that you had in straight ball. I mean, I can't remember exactly, but I think I had an average of 3 point something in straight ball, which means you run 100 balls in 30 innings, so to speak. So that was my level back then, and with that I was, I don't know, ranked, let's say top 40 maybe or so, or top 30, so not so high. I think the top guys back then, they already had like an average of 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And from there, I developed everything. I can't actually remember when I had my first 100 ball run. I know at age 14, I had a 68. I think it took me another 2 years before I ran my first 100. So at age 16 or so,
Yeah. Who was the other sort of key players around that time? Like, about Oliver Ortmann, was he around there with you guys?
Yeah, he was around, but he was also not. I mean, he was a top junior player because he is like 1.5 years older than me.
Yeah.
So we were both juniors back in the days. And back at that time when we played in the juniors, I really had a hard time beating him. He was ahead of me, and that started changing when we both got into the men's division. Then I slowly caught up and started beating him, and I don't know what the overall score would be nowadays, because we've probably played, I don't know, 200 times minimum, probably more than that over the years, in all sorts of competitions. And I don't know. I couldn't say if he has the better end or I have, or I don't know, to be honest. I don't want to make things up, but him, and then obviously Thomas Engert was
Thomas
was around. He's again 1 year older than Oliver, so he was the oldest of us three, of the 3 musketeers, or whatever you want to call us. And but before we kind of dominated Germany, and for a long part also the European scene, we had other players in Germany that were quite known and quite good players, like Edgar Nickel. I don't know if you heard of him. He was
not heard of it.
Yeah,
he turned into a trick shot artist afterwards, and he was the first pool player to be on German television on a live show to do trick shots and stuff. That was before Ralf Eckert came along because he obviously took over then. Then we had a great player with the name of Norbert Lang. And he was actually the first one to travel to the United States and play in the World Championships in the juniors division. Got beat in the finals against a Swedish player. I think Christer Löfstrand was his name. And yeah, those two were, pretty good players back in the days in Germany. And there was also Tony Deigner, who was very good, and so was Uwe Sander. And I could go on and on. There were some. Unfortunately, most of them are already dead by now. Way too young age, because they were only like maybe 10 years older than me. And I think the only one still living is Edgar Nickel, but the other ones, are no longer with us. Very sad, actually, because they were great players, great talents, and but that's how life goes sometimes.
So just going back to the actual process, like you say about the juniors and then moving up to the seniors in the Bundesliga, would you I'm assuming that's total credit for the talent that just constantly keeps coming out of Germany.
Absolutely. That's how Germany
that process
creates so many good players, because at some point they start playing in the club, and the club they play in leagues. So you have competition in the lower classes you have, let's say, maybe competition over 20 weekends. The higher you get in level, then the less weekends you actually have to play, because they made it like that so that players have a chance to also play in individual events. Which, if we would have, let's say, like a Premier League football, where you have 36 games throughout the season plus the international ones, you wouldn't have time for anything else, And that's why the team competition in Germany only lasts over 7 weekends. And then the rest is basically open and free for individual events, or maybe European Championships, World Championships, where also teams are competing and playing.
Yeah.
Have you had input into how that's been? I'm sure that they've asked your advice along the way many years. Have you had input into the way it's been structured, Ralf, over the years?
No, not really. I mean, I've helped.
Oh, really?
I've helped certain things. I was in the German sports. I don't even know how to name that in English. It's like a group of people that work on the sports program. Work on the rules, or work on certain systems, how you can improve those parts. That I did for probably 8 years, helping out. So we had meetings constantly, and talking about things. But there's also a lot of politics involved, which basically at the end kind of turned me away from it, because it was very time consuming, and I wanted to help the sport, but I was not so keen on working with the politics. And that was basically the part where I stepped back and said, I want to focus on my playing career more again. And obviously now that I have the tip project going on, it was also very time consuming.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, you've got some great at the moment. There's some great talent coming out of Germany, isn't there? We had young Felix Vogel last year, and also Ina Kaplan on the show. Absolute what talent, Ralf! The pair of them.
I mean,
obviously
number one, Joshua Fuller, he's.
And Joshua, and Pia, they just speak for themselves. It's just.
And then you have Moritz Neuhausen.
Yeah,
he's also just finished second in the Turning Stone again. That's the event that he won last year, and he also had some very good results over the years. So he might be the number 2 in Germany as we speak, and more youngsters coming. And you mentioned it, Felix Vogel. Then there's also Dennis Lashkovsky. We have Luca Men. We have so many.
Luca Men,
Every year we have a very, very good junior program in Germany with good coaches like Günter Geisen. Christian Reimering, but also their helpers that work on a more regional base. So we definitely have a great junior program in Germany, and that's why Germany produces so many good players.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you were saying about the politics a minute ago there, which is why you shied away from helping them out on that sort of board of, the organisation side. I mean, it's still in the game today. It seems to be more in the game than ever at the moment, doesn't it? The politics of pull between the governing bodies.
It came back on a big stage,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what your take is on it, Ralf, to be honest, but I mean, I'm not bothered either way. I mean, I just think players should be able to play on whatever they want, really. I mean, why try and restrict players to playing certain things? I mean, if they want to play, just let them play. I mean, they're all playing the game.
I agree.
I mean,
I'm somewhere in between. Let's put it that way. I don't want to take any side.
I think, it's interesting you say that, and I wouldn't be surprised. I think probably a lot of players are like that. They're just sort of waiting to see how it develops, and then they might have to make a choice at some point going forward. But I think there's a lot of players like
Mm-hmm.
maybe just sitting on the fence waiting to see what happens. I mean, we've got, obviously, we have
the thing is, we are still in a very similar situation where we were 20, 25 years ago. There is a little more money involved. In some events, a lot more, like the World Championship with $1 million. I mean, that's by far the biggest.
That was a 10 ball one, wasn't it? Recently, I think that.
No, I'm talking the Matchroom in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, that one was, yeah.
That was $1 million, which was by far the biggest purse ever. Do I agree with the prize money breakdown? No, I don't, because it's great if you win it, 250. If you finish second, it's also good, but I think there's a big gap getting only 100, and then reaching the semis down to 50, and the further down you go, you're going back to the regular payouts, but you still have to beat 6-7 world champions on the way to get there.
Yeah.
So I never agree with the prize money breakdown in, I would say, 99 out of 100 tournaments. The prize money breakdown is wrong from my personal point of view. Why? I don't know. I know that with a top purse for the winner, it attracts the media, the fans. Yes, you get that. Wow. But when you look at the big picture, it's not so great anymore because the costs are the same. And when I compare the costs nowadays to 15, 20 years ago, the costs have probably tripled to quadrupled or maybe even more. But the prize money hasn't. It's the majority is like the same, maybe plus 20%. So it's much harder to go deep in an event.
Well, there's that many good players now, isn't there? Of course,
because you have so many good players. Every country has at least one. A lot of countries have 3, 4, 5, and bigger numbers of great players. Let's say 20 years ago, there were maybe 20 players who could win such a big event, maybe 25. Nowadays, you have 60 to 100 that could possibly win.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's tough.
Even though at the end, it seems to be always the same people for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But at the end, I mean, all those 80 to 100 players could make big damage and can beat any player on any given day.
Well, yeah, that's right. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got my eyes on one of the Polish guys, that Daniel Massiel. Fantastic talent. That is just I don't know if it comes any rawer in sport, Ralf, than someone like Daniel Massiel. Just wanders around the table. My God, what brilliance! It's just like, is this real? Phenomenal talent. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And then he's not the only one. I mean, they also have a lot of youngsters in the pipeline that nobody knows yet, because I remember me going to Poland. I don't know the exact dates. I was, but definitely in the early 90s. You know, Marcin Chemiński, I think he's still no, he may not be the president anymore, but back then he was the president of the Polish Billiard Federation. He invited me to Poland, where Poland was like really a beginner's country when it came to pool. And we went to 3 different cities. You know, I did a clinic, an exhibition with their local best player. And after that, it really just grew so fast and so big that pool became a pool sport, a school sport.
Yeah.
Meaning that,
Oh, wow.
you know, they have like in Germany in the afternoon when you have finish your regular school, then you can have certain kind of sports that you can sign up for. Soccer or football, as we in Europe say, handball, whatever. In Poland, they also have pool that you can choose. And they have what they call a Polish school championship, where every year they have 700 young people playing qualifiers and trying to get to the Polish championship. And that's why they create so many great youngsters. And they just do something for the juniors to make the sport bigger and better. It's different than in Germany, because in Germany it was in the school at some point, but not nationwide. It was only in certain parts of the country where, teachers actually thought it's a good idea, but not everywhere, unfortunately. But in Poland, I believe it's nationwide, and that's why they also produce so many great talent. And you see that the Euro Tour, 20, 25 Polish players, and you can easily lose to most of them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was quite impressed. The guy, Hubert Lepotko, I think that's how we pronounce him.
Hubert Lepotko,
against. I'd never even seen the guy prior to Romania, and he apparently had just come back and started playing again.
Yeah.
And I saw him playing, and I thought, Jesus Christ, is this real? You know what I mean? It's like, again, it's like, wow, the wow factor coming out of Poland. And he's an older man.
Well, he was one of the first ones to come out of Poland, and then he quit. At least he was not playing on the international scene for many, many years. I don't know if he had quit completely playing pool or not. That I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
But he came back, and he is stronger than ever. Yeah.
Wow. So moving forward, Ralf, in the life of Ralf Souquet, where's Ralf in his playing career at the moment? Is it? Will you tell us? Is I don't want to put words out there that I wouldn't say winding down, because you just got in the final of the major tournament in Scotland last year, or semi-final of a major event, matchroom event in Scotland last year, and you're always there and thereabouts. But where's Ralf Souquet in his career at the moment in regards to his playing career?
Well,
you can just tell me you're starting out, and that'd be good enough, Ralf.
No, I mean, I definitely want to win another big one. That's my goal. I mentioned in the pre-interview already that I started working with a coach who is the former German national coach, Andreas Huber. We got together last year at some point, because he's also the president of the club that I play for in Dachau. So, I mean, I've been around him for the last 12 or 13 years, and I never actually had a coach in my whole life. Never. It's everything self-taught, learning by doing,
That's amazing.
looking or going to events and trying to pick things up from different players and try to, somehow bring them into my game.
Yeah.
And but over the years, when you get older or just by goofing around, you develop certain things that are not really helpful. And so, we sat together and we said, well, maybe we should start working together, and maybe we can get those bad habits out of the system again, and resharpen Ralf Souquet again, and get.
How long did you say you've been working with the coach, Ralf? Sorry.
We started at some point last year. I would say 6-7 months now.
Okay, and is that all parts of the game, or is it just certain? Like, obviously, you got the physical part playing the game, but is it also the
Well,
mental
it's a little
side
bit
as
of
well?
it's a little bit of everything. I would say it's more of going into techniques, or like back to the basics. Let's put it that way. Just certain things that I have developed over the years that are not really helpful.
Back to the basics. You got to get a new cue. You know that one you've been using for 20 years. You got to get a new one now.
Not
Go
that
back to
far,
basics.
not that far back. Obviously,
And Ralph, when this was pointing out, when these like basic things were pointed out to you, was it like a real eye opener? For wow, I didn't know I'd done that, or what was it like having the most basic fundamental change that was obvious to most, or that could have been obvious, and once it was brought to your attention, it was like, Jesus, have I really been doing that? Was it easy to change?
Well, no, it's not easy to change. I mean, obviously, it started with also changing the playing equipment. Then it's actually when I realized myself that I developed I'm not saying a bad stroke, but a much weaker stroke than what I used to have. And
what was that part of that though, Ralph? Because I mean, I'm a big fan of trying to improve all the time. One thing that helps me is obviously technology these days. Everyone's got phones. You can record well on them. I record when I'm practicing. I watch it back, and I've noticed I've got a bad habit sometimes where I'll be down on a shot and I'm moving my head up and down as I'm and that's my bad habit. But was there a specific bad habit that you had that he picks up on straight away?
Well, again, I'm not going into little details here.
He's revealing his secrets again. He's keeping his cards close to his chest.
It's not really.
These recipes
it wasn't anything major. I mean, maybe it felt or it still feels major to me.
Yeah.
Because I have to focus on different things now. But just small little things here and there that he sees as a very technical coach, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's not about tactics in the game or whatever, because I'm way ahead of him. I mean, there's nothing that he could actually teach me. There are other things, that I'm not saying struggle with, but that turned my game sometimes not reaching the finish line. Just silly, stupid mistakes that starting when you feeling tired, or when you're getting tired, when you had like 3-4 matches back to back, and then that the focus is no longer there anymore for whatever reason, and those things.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm still not where I want to be. I'm still in that, well, maybe not learning experience, but I'm still on the path, and I haven't reached the finish line yet. And that's why I said I felt already last year that there's at least one other big win in me, maybe even more than one. But I'm always very optimistic, but also realistic type of guy. I'm not dreaming that I'm gonna break Jason Shaw's straight ball records and run thousands like next week. That's not going to happen, because that's not in the nature of my game. I would have to speed up my game completely and completely play different, and that's not my type of game that I could say, I'm going to try to break his world record.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more events to play in these days as well, of course, to help on your path to taking that next big win. I mean, let's say go back several years, there probably wasn't as many tournaments. There's tournaments every month, isn't there? Big ones usually these days. So, and you got plenty of chance to do that.
It is true that there's plenty of chance, but I'm actually playing less events now than I used to play. Like 10, 15 years ago, I was playing between 40 and 45 events a year. I was probably the busiest player on the planet, and now I've actually cut down. That's also part of the whole procedure. Not trying to overplay myself and be ready for the right events, and not trying to exhaust myself with every single event that I could possibly play that's existing on the planet.
Yeah.
You've been a busy man, Ralf. I say I've known you for many years, and you're always there. Even say I made I brought the subject up about where's Ralf in his career, but you know, just looking at where you are, you're always there or thereabouts. So again, it's good to hear that you've got a coach, and it's a certain area that potentially could take you on to the next big wins, because sometimes that's all it takes, isn't it, Ralf? Just to change your mind, and then because there's no one has to say, oh, has he got the talent? No, that's just like you said, no one can teach you anything. You can put that up against anybody, even now on this in this Q Sport world. It's just like you said. It's just that the burnout. If you say you played 3 or 4 games, to keep going, and that's where, as we get older, we've got to sort of find new ways. I would say, wouldn't you? And then that's just in life in general. I would say.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so Ralf, I'll tell you what, it's been. I say we've had you nearly an hour on the show now, and I'll tell you what, it's been fantastic having you here. And I'll say I'll badger you in another couple of years to see where you are.
Hopefully, with a few more wins.
But what I would like to, actually, what I would like to ask you, Ralf,
we lost a little bit the path on what were are my biggest career wins. So we kind of.
That's what exactly what I was going to ask. That's what I was going to ask you now. Like, could you give us a rundown on that?
Well, I'm a 38-time European champion. So I have a hard time breaking it down now on the team and the individual titles.
Yeah.
I just leave it at the 38 because that's
say that again. How many, Ralf?
European Championship titles.
Wow.
Plus.
Well, I think you can comfortably say that and never be beaten.
No, I don't know. It is possible. The fact that we have multiple disciplines, obviously. On top of that, I have 23 Euro Tour wins.
That's got to be up there as well with the best, ranks in terms of them.
As of right now, this is by far, but it's not unbreakable. Let's put it that way. There are a lot of young guns that already have a few wins and probably have another 20, 25 years ahead of them easily. But again, I want to even, bring this number a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So I'm not finished with the Euro Tour yet either. Yeah, I have won the world.
Well, no, you should. When you see like people like Niels, when you see like Niels, when you see like Niels at the moment, he's had another breath of fresh air, hasn't he? He's just, he's kicked off again. So great for the older, great for the veterans, just to have you guys still around to give us hope. But sorry, Ralf, carry on, please.
Of course, on top of that, I won the World Championships twice.
Yeah.
In 9-ball in '96 and in 8-ball in 2008. I won the World Games in 2009, which is also back then in 9-ball. Now in the future, it is played in 10-ball. I won the Whirlpool Masters 6 times. I won the Mosconi Cup with Team Europe 7 times.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my majority of participations in the Mosconi Cup were when America was still dominating Europe.
Yeah.
So I was also on the losing side 10 times. But still have a positive record over 50%. Even
do you miss those Mosconi Cup days, Ralf? I mean, have you got ambition to maybe try and make another one?
Yeah, that's also still on the list, yes. But again, in order to qualify for the Mosconi, you need to play all the metro events, and you really need to be in the top 3.
Yeah, it's tough these days.
I'm very sure that I would not get a wild card anymore. Not that I ever got one, but
yeah, never say never.
No, well, that's my personal feeling. Let's put it that way. Of course, if you finish the season on on the fourth position, just right there, then maybe yes. But I rather make sure that I'm in the top three and make myself qualify for it. But yeah, again, if it happens, okay. If not, it's also okay. The world is not going to go down if I'm no longer, or if I.
Yeah, just in between that, before you carry on with your wins, there, Ralf. What do you think's happened to the Americans in regards to the Mosconi? Because when you see people like Skyler and Van Bonen, they dominate the sport on the matchroom events and the world scene, so to speak. What's going on there, Ralf? In your mind, what do you think?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, it's a different event, playing for yourself or playing for your country, or in their case, for their continent. It's just different. I mean, short race to 5, alternate break, so much pressure because you don't want to bring or let your team down. It's a totally different ballgame, and if you have never experienced it as a player, you have no idea what happens when you are down in that arena.
Yeah.
You can be in the arena as a spectator 10, 15 times. It's still not the same. Once you are in the arena and you are not settled, you're going to piss in your pants.
And somebody nearly did.
It's very simple.
A few years ago, didn't they? But I can imagine. I mean, even the best players in the world that have played on multiple Mosconi Cups still feel that pressure sometimes.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what the Mosconi Cup does to you. Yeah.
And it's the loneliest place in the world. Not even in tournaments. I've been in tournaments where there's nothing worse than being on a fairly easy shot, and in your mind you're doubting yourself about potting it. There's nothing worse than that. And I can imagine if you're in the Mosconi Cup and you've got that 9-ball or a quarter ball 9, nice and easy, and you're on it and you're thinking in your mind, I might not pot this.
Well, if you have those kind of thoughts, then you basically in the wrong place to begin with.
You should wrong place at the wrong time. Ralf, let me ask you a question. Have you actually won the Mosconi for the team? Have you potted the final ball?
Yes, I did once. Yeah.
You did, yeah. Okay, what was that? Indulge us a little bit on that, Ralf. Can you remember the score? Who you was playing?
Let me think here. It was not 2017 because that was my last one. I think I was playing Rodney Morris. Yeah. I don't know what the scoreline was. If we won 11-8 or 11-7, and it might have been in 2014 or so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great feeling if you
jump on the table. Did you jump on the table, or was that
where I was going with
on the table?
We never jumped on the table. Nobody did.
It's only been the recent years, only where they've all started jumping on the table. But
that's where I was going with it, Ralf. What I know this. It sounds a bit of a. I don't really know how to get this across, but it must be a totally different. It must be a different feeling potting the winning ball of the Mosconi than being in the winning team of the Mosconi. Well, tell us about that feeling, Ralf. There's got to be something there that's just, wow, I've just done this. Or was there not?
No, not really. I mean, to me, it's not a big difference if you make the winning 9. Of course, it's nice, if you do the final ball. But if you've won 300 events in your career, then you know how it is to pot that final ball, And that's just another final ball. Of course, it's for the team, but I've also played in team competition in Germany for so many years, and also on the European team for Team Germany. So it's of course it's nice, but it's not really a big difference. The difference is, you have, depending on where you play, 3,000-4,000 people yelling with you and for you. That makes it special and makes it different. Yeah, but the feeling itself, no. I rather not pot the winning ball, but win as a team than have the chance and dog it and lose all the time, So,
well, please carry on and indulge us a bit more there, Ralf. That was a little sideline going on with your results and your wins. You're telling us about what you've done.
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned already the 6 Whirlpool Masters titles. And I won the US Open straight ball and 9-ball. I won the Derby City Classic 9-ball 3 times. I won the BC Open 9-ball twice. I won one of the Camel Tour events back in the 90s. I won the world ranking, like year-end ranking 4 times. I've been number 1 in the world for roughly 2 years in a row. What else?
It's probably easier to say what you haven't won.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, won the World Cup of Pool in the doubles with Thorsten in 2011.
Yeah.
Where we actually got beat in the finals 2009, just a couple of years before that, which was probably the best event that I've played in and did not win. That was in the Philippines when we lost to Bustamante and Efren in the finals, and actually had a chance to win it. We're leading 9-5 going to 11, and we lost 11-9. That was a brutal loss, but still kind of nice because it was such a great atmosphere. It's really strange, but yeah, the biggest or the nicest win for me was actually winning the gold medal in the World Games 2009 in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, against Yang Chin-chun, who unfortunately also died like last year, way too young.
Oh, he did, didn't he? Yeah. What a player, eh, Ralf?
And it was the rematch of the World Games final from 2001, where he beat me in the finals. In Akita, Japan.
Yeah,
but in 2009, it was on his home turf. It was his home city. That made it even sweeter. And there were like 2,500 people in the audience too. So that was, to me, that was the greatest win ever. Everything, with the whole atmosphere, the spectators, and there were a lot of people from other sports because it was the last played sport and discipline of the World Games back in 2009. So it was really a really great and different experience. Yeah, that I'm not going to miss.
I can only imagine what your cabinet of I can only imagine what your cabinet or your room looks like in regards to the trophies, Ralf.
Well, actually, the room it's now, it used to be in the basement of the old apartment, but that was flooded at some point, and so I had to actually throw away like 150 trophies because they were, really in bad condition after the flood, and so I had to throw away some of them. But now they are in a safer place, all up, and but there's no room in. Unfortunately, I don't have a table at home, where I could have like, a table and all the most important trophies in. It's just not possible. The apartment is not big enough, and so I had to store them somewhere. But they're in a good place, and I'm very proud of my trophies. And maybe unlike other players, I really like my trophies and keep them until the very last minute.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ralf, tell us about I know we touched upon the Q raffle at the very beginning. Tell us, remind us about the raffle and how our viewers can participate in that raffle for that beautiful Q you've got behind you.
So they can go to my Facebook page or pages, for example. I try to put the flyer on there again as soon as we get done. I mean, I've done it several months ago once, but obviously it gets down on the whatever line you on Facebook, on the timeline. Yeah, now I got the proper word.
The feed or whatever it's called.
Yeah. So and on that flyer, there's a QR code that you can just easily scan with your cell phone, and that directs you straight to PayPal, and there you can pay for the ticket. And and that's basically it.
When's the draw going to be done for that? Did you say, Ralf?
Well, no, as soon as the 200 tickets are sold.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's going a little slower than I was hoping and expected. but that's also because I did not go to the Derby City last year and this year, which I expected to sell a lot of tickets there.
Yeah.
And but yeah, as soon as the 200 tickets are sold, I'm pretty sure it's going to be at some point this year, because I don't want to carry it over to 2027.
Yeah, sure. Well, Ralf, it'd be nice if you could get the information over to us, because we've got quite
absolutely.
a following on our social medias.
And as of right now, there's over 80 tickets are sold, so it's like a little less than 120 tickets are available. And back to the queue, it's worth $19,000.
Wow.
It comes with obviously extension. It comes with joint protectors, comes with 2 custom-made shafts that whoever wins the queue can have the shafts made to his own likings and to his own specs. In between 12.4 and 12.8 diameter.
Yeah. What was the make of the queue again, Ralf? Sorry,
Arthur.
Yeah.
ARTHUR queue.
Yeah.
And it's the queue that's shown behind me. Yeah. It's a one of a kind, obviously, even though the one below has the same design. So the total amount of queues that Marcus will produce that have a similar look is 10. Right now, I think I received number 6, my newest queue, which is not shown here, but I just got it right before Christmas. So we're talking like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But each new queue he makes, there are small changes and slightly more inlays. The queue that is on raffle has 330 inlays. The one that I just received has over 600 already.
Oh, wow.
And
it takes a while to make that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a great playing queue. It comes with, as I said, 2 low deflection shafts.
Yeah.
Comes with obviously Kaiser tips on top. And that's it. And it will be sent to the winner at no cost, no matter where the winner comes from. If he comes out of Australia, it's going to be shipped to Australia, and it's going to be shipped insured. And it's a great playing queue, but it's also a collector's queue. It's not like a queue that you have to play with, obviously, because I know some collectors or some people with high dollar queues, they don't really want to carry them or carry the queue along, because it might get lost, especially when you need to check it in certain airlines or certain carriers. They are not so cautious with handling the queues. So you need really a good bag to ship it around
to protect
and so that the queue is secured and not going to be damaged.
Yeah, sure. Well, Ralf, I was speaking to Peter April yesterday.
Okay.
Peter April.
Yeah.
And he sends his highest regards for you when he knew you was coming on the show.
Thank you.
I can't pronounce what you say to him. I think you call him Abuelo or something. Is that right? That's what your nickname for him is? Abuelo. There you go. Well, he sends his highest regards.
The Spanish name for grandfather. Yeah.
Grandpa. Yeah. Well, we had him on the show at the beginning of last year, and I'll tell you what a hit he was. I tell you, telling us about his life story and the kid.
Great guy.
When he found out yesterday, he reached out to me and said to me to make sure that I say hi. So
thanks a lot.
I've done that.
Appreciate
I've
it.
done that part.
Yeah.
And one last thing I'd like to just throw in there, Ralf, is Matt specifically does a lot of videos on YouTube, and we do some raffles, and we've been lucky enough to have Hayakawa Q send us a queue. We've had Moochie send us a queue. I was just wondering if Ralf Souquet would like to send some Kaiser tips that we could do a raffle with.
Yeah,
that would
absolutely.
Be very, we can certainly help promote your brand, and that would be nice. And we'll do a raffle. And if you're available at the time, just for a couple of minutes to actually do the draw for us at some point, on behalf of Kaiser Tips, we would be more than happy to have you do the live draw for us just for a few minutes of your time in the near future, Ralph,
absolutely.
if that's something that you can entertain us
you can
with.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
I'm going to donate 4 tips. So each hardness level, which is the S, RS, MS, and M, and yeah, absolutely.
We'll be able to get the if we go. Could you tell us again just one more time, Ralph? Where's the website where we can see? Where's the website where we can see the tips and everything? It's just if you can run them down for us again.
Ralf-Souquet.com.
I'll put that up on the here on our page as well, Ralph, and everything for that as well.
But... And from there's the link to the shop. Not my shop yet, because I still haven't decided if I want my own shop. But right now it's diverted to Billiard Dean's Arthur Q's, and so it gets diverted there from my webpage.
Sure, and I think I might have interrupted you there when I was asking that question. What was it? What were the hardness of the tips that you said you're going to donate us for? What were the hardness of the tips, just so we can make sure that when we advertise we're doing the right thing, Ralph?
The S, which is the soft. Then it's the RS, which is the Ralf Souquet.
I thought you were going to say really soft.
To be honest, when I came out with the name, when I first introduced the tips, that was a question that a lot of customers came with. Does it mean really soft or relatively soft, or? And to be honest, I think we're gonna or change it. So the next batch, which is about to be ordered soon, very soon, I think we're gonna change it. Where the RS, I slightly changed the logo as well, and with that change, we're gonna swap the order. So it will be the really soft will be the softest, then the RS.
The
Ralf Souquet, or really soft, whatever you want to call it. And then it will be the soft, the MS for medium soft, and the medium.
Which one do you play with at the moment? Then I'm guessing it's probably the medium.
No, I play with the soft at the moment. Okay. The original idea was to actually play with the RS. That's why I came up with the name,
Yeah.
But eventually I switched to the soft because I liked it a little bit better. But again, in the next batch, it will be swapped around. So I will play with the RS. And if it's called Ralf Souquet choice or really soft, I leave that up to the customers.
That's for sure. Well, Ralf, it's been great indulging us, mate. And thank you so much for coming on our show and being the first for the year. It's been great talking
Thanks for
to you.
having me on the show.
At least I can come up to you now and just say, "All right, Ralf, how you doing?" Instead of getting in your ear saying, "Come on, Ralf, come on, when are you going to do?" So we'll really certainly get this out on all our socials, Ralf. And you're a big hit. It's great to have someone of you. Listen, I'm blowing smoke where it's needed. It's great to have someone of your caliber, your quality, your class, entertain us and indulge us for an hour of your time. So thank you so much. And on behalf of myself, Matt, and Darkside Paul, we wish you all the best for the coming season, buddy.
Thanks a lot.
Keeping an eye on it, Ralf. Don't worry.
Absolutely. And before we forget, Happy New Year to everyone, because it's still early on in the year.
Yeah, that is one.
It certainly is. Happy New Year to you, buddy, as well.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Ralf.